Well, I got Caden over to help me hold some stuff so I can figure out my link mounts, and I'm going to build it all out of cardboard first, just to get the concept right, make sure that works. I think we're going to start with the upper link mount. Got to figure out how I'm going to cram a whole link mount into that little itty bitty space, so got some work to do there. But yeah, build it out of cardboard first, and then I got this piece of 1/4 inch plywood out here. Actually it's MDF, but I'm gonna use that once I get the pattern made and mock it up with that and make sure it fits well, because that's exactly 1/4 inch, and that's what I'm building the brackets out of, so I know I don't mess up on my math and make something not fit. So yeah, now I gotta start mocking it up. Well, same old standard thing. I've changed my mind about 15 times here. So I had kind of this weird thing set up for my upper link. I was cutting it out of a piece of plywood. Trying to trip over something here. Anyway, original thought was to run my upper link kind of like that. But I decided, one, it's ugly as hell. Two, I don't like how there's just a little bit of weld all along here. Well, it's officially round 3 on figuring out what I want to do for my upper link mount. I was going to do what you saw on there before. This thing fit really good, had it all perfect, and then I decided that I just really do not trust, no matter what, welding to the cast. The way I'm gonna drive this thing, not even gonna, excuse me, not even gonna mess with it. So now, round 3, I'm going to figure out that I actually do have a little bit of clearance right here. Oops, I zoomed in. So I do have a little bit of clearance right here, extra, which I can shave that down a little bit if I need to. So what I'm going to do is build basically a truss that's going to go around the tube, weld to the tube. Have probably a plate that'll come off this way and either bolt there, or maybe not even anything, but anyway, it's going to come over to there, up, and follow this profile. So this is all, basically I'm just going to turn that all into 1/4 inch steel. Well, nope, thought I was out of my awesome hair right there. Anyway, finally I think figured out, after doing a bunch of looking at different pictures, to see what other people have done to build trusses for Ford 44. I think this is about where I'm going to be for now. Got this mocked up. Took me a little while to get it cut with the plasma cutter. I'll probably end up rounding both those ends off a little bit once I get everything on here. We'll see. But I got to keep it as low profile as possible. Well, I think I finally made a little bit of progress here. Still got to figure out the steering, but I think I know what I'm going to do. I did get the truss mocked up at least. I'm going to have a friend come over and take one last look and make sure that I didn't miss something. Yeah, it looks like crap right now. It's just proof of concept right now. But I think I'm going to eliminate some of it. So this front piece, which is also going to be welded to the tube right here and around there. And I'm going to put probably some little truss brackets over that. Got to get those built from some friends here in town. It's a pain in the butt to cut that with my plasma cutter. And then I think instead of running that little wing down there, I think I'm just going to take it from that line right there up to there. So that'll be changed a little bit. And then this side, same thing basically. I've got all of that weld surface right there. I got to build some little brackets to make the end filled in there. I hate having stuff that can fill up with mud. So I'm going to fill all that in, probably build a couple of gussets on the bottom there to wrap the tube, and then get it all welded together, and obviously grind that down and get it back flush with this, get that all welded on. And then Well, guys, I was sitting down the other day trying to get the video edited for basically the truss that I built and the links that I built for the 3-link suspension on the front of this thing. As I was going through it, I realized I didn't do hardly any filming because I was in such a hurry to get it done. And basically from then on out, I did some filming here and there, but none of it really ties together very well. So I decided I'm just going to do kind of a breakdown of what I've got done here. I've been driving the truck for a couple months now. I've got a lot of work left to do still. Been a super hectic fire season this year, and been really busy with house and family stuff too. Had a bunch of grandparents die this year in the midst of fire season, so it's been a rough year this year. So anyway, I'll give you a breakdown of kind of what I did for the truss first, and then I'll move on to the links and transmission crossmember mount. And then we'll go from there and kind of show you some of the stuff I did on the front. I'll try and explain it as best I can as to kind of where I got parts and what I did and why I did it and all that stuff. So anyway, we'll start on the front truss. So on this 3-link, basically you have 2 links that mount on the bottom side of the axle tube and then one that mounts above it. You need what they call vertical separation on there, which is to keep axle wrap from happening. Basically you're axle twisting and pulling on the suspension where it's not supposed to. So if you put links on the bottom and links on the top, that resists that wrap. So anyway, this is what I've got under here. As you can see, I still got a leak in my front diff here I gotta fix eventually. But basically I boxed all this in with 1/4-inch plate and then welded it to the actual axle tube there. Like I said, I need to do some work and get this thing sealed up. But my upper link mount, as you can see, is crammed in there right here. That one is your single link that runs basically parallel with the drive line. As you can see, it runs all the way back there and connects to a mount on the frame. My lower links are as wide as I could get them right here. Trying to get the best stability out of this as possible, and the other side's identical. It's kind of a pain getting those lined up, but got them done. Got a little bit of work to do here still, but as you can see, there's not a lot of room to get this stuff in here, and so far, near as I can tell, I'm not hitting anything. I have bottomed it all the way out a couple times, readjusting the suspension, trying to get it to work. So anyway, that is the front truss. And moving on to the steering, we're gonna go over to this side first. So the steering, originally I wanted to do high steer, which is basically you're running your tie rod, which runs from one side to the other of the axle, all the way across, ties into your arms, on your knuckles. And high steer essentially raises that up on the flat top Dana 44 knuckles. You got this rod, or sorry, not rod, arm that bolts in back here on the flat top. And then anyway, I wanted to make it so that the tie rod came across here, across the top, but I couldn't do that because there's not enough room between the frame and the oil pan and everything else. So what I ended up having to do was go with Heim joints. And I've got 1/4-inch DOM 1.5-inch tube for my tie rod and my drag link. So tie rod, drag link. And then my panhard bar or track bar, whatever you want to call it, is right here. And that's 1 3/4. It was a pain trying to get all this stuff lined up. Like I said, as you can see, there's not a lot of room in there. The major thing I had to do on the steering was I had to move the gearbox forward. So normally this bolt hole would be right there. But as you can see, I had to be able to clear my tie rod. I had to move up in through here and not hit my pitman arm or my drag link as it turns. So that's why I had to move that forward, which I had to cut out a ton of the body here, which you can't even really see in there. And then these pinch welds started breaking with the weight of the battery, so I had to build a mount there, but it's connected to the body, not the frame. So I had to put a bushing in there so that it didn't flex and bend and break. But essentially that's the steering Like I said, it was a total pain in the butt trying to get all that stuff lined up. I'll bet I spent a month just trying to figure out how to get that stuff lined up. The normal solution on that is to just make it sit higher, but I didn't want to make it sit higher. I wanted it sitting low and still keep the travel. So right now I've got about 6 inches of up travel and 8 inches of down travel, and I'm sitting, front end sits a little higher in the back. Still got to work on that, but I'm sitting on 35s, and my truck sits about 4 inches higher than stock is it. So I'm trying to keep it as low as possible. And if I want to go up, all I got to do is adjust those struts, and I can get them to the midway point. So 7 inches, I can get another inch, no problem out of it, and not affect any of the handling or anything like that. But just wanted to keep it low. So that's the basics on this steering. Had a lot of other stuff to go along with it. Another thing I had to do was, if you can see back in here, some horrible welds. It's tough to get in there. But anyway, basically I had to cut that out. And it looks like I'm rubbing right there. Good thing I got under here. I don't know what, it's gonna rub through a bunch of wiring if I'm not careful. But anyway, my steering column would have gone right through the middle of my strut tower, which, as you can see, I had to cut body there too to keep it low and get the travel. So that was another pain in the butt, trying to get that to line up, and then trying to get all of the lines run. Oh, here's the other one I had to do too. I had to custom build this drop pitman arm. So it's just a drop pitman arm from, I think, I can't remember where I think it was Barnes Off-Road. Anyway, and then I plated it in and boxed it in. So I've got the double shear on the bolt there, which basically it's got something to pass all the way through top and bottom instead of just through the top or the bottom. So there's the steering. Let's crawl underneath real quick and I'll show you the transmission cross members and the frame side link mounts.